You see the title of the video. The NBA is rigged, and if you need any more explanation why, just look at what happened last night in the NBA draft lottery. Even when I was very young, I knew the NBA was rigged. It didn't take me long to figure that one out. I mean, when you see how superstars' whistles are completely different from role players, how big markets like Los Angeles or Boston or the New York Knicks get disproportionately distributed a number of free throw attempts to other small market teams because let's be honest, the bigger teams pull more ratings and more people want to watch those bigger name and bigger city teams. For an example, in 2002 in the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers had an egregious amount of free throw attempts over the Kings, and they obviously wanted the Lakers to win. They weren't going to allow the Kings and Chris Webber to get to the NBA Finals. So I knew all of this, but after what happened last night with the NBA draft lottery, there should be no doubt in anyone's mind that the NBA is pulling the strings on everything and rigging absolutely everything. I mean, this has been a thing since the very first draft lottery in 1985 with the New York Knicks winning the draft lottery and being able to select Patrick Ewing in the frozen envelope. If you don't know about that, go ahead and do some research on that. But it was very clear that something was fishy going on, and was it rigged? More than likely, I would say yes, it is rigged. But that is not the only time in NBA history where I think the draft lottery was rigged. We can take it back to the 2000s with the decision and LeBron going from Cleveland to Miami. The very next year, the Cleveland Cavaliers get the number one overall pick. And then we skip 1 year, and the very next 2 years after that, the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to get the number one pick in back-to-back years, selecting Anthony Bennett and Andrew Wiggins, which they then traded for Kevin Love. Is it crazy for me to speculate that because the Cleveland Cavaliers lost their star player and the biggest name went to a bigger market in Miami, so the ratings would shoot up? So then there's a super team, and people want to watch super teams, even though a lot of people like parity. That's not really what draws the numbers. Go look it up. But is it crazy for me to believe that the NBA was purposely saying, okay, you lost your star, we're going to reward you with this because you let LeBron go? And then let's go even more reason. In 2019, the Pelicans ended up getting the number one overall pick. Who was on their roster? Anthony Davis, who clearly wasn't happy. And everybody knew that Clutch Sports and Rich Paul wanted Anthony Davis, who is a Clutch client, to play for the Lakers and wanted to play alongside LeBron James. That was clearly obvious. They were trying to make trades throughout the entire year, but they couldn't get anything done. And the Pelicans were not willing to give up Anthony Davis, and they really didn't want to get rid of him. Just so happens that that same year, the Pelicans were gifted Zion Williamson. Is it crazy for me to believe that because the NBA, like I said, likes super teams and likes star players to team up together because that attracts ratings, and they want the biggest stars to play for the biggest markets? Is it crazy for me to say that the NBA made a under the table negotiation with the Pelicans and said, listen, if you trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers, we will give you the number one overall pick, and we will give you Zion Williamson, who was at that time one of the best prospects we've ever seen coming at the NBA draft? Is it crazy for me to say that? You tell me. But I think that is just crazy suspicious how that all works. And then we go to what transpired this NBA season. So, what was the big thing that was talked about at the very beginning of the year? Heck, I even made a video about it. It was the NBA ratings were so down and so low. No one was talking about it. No one was interested in what was going on. It was bad basketball, and it just wasn't a topic of discussion for a lot of people. But mid-season, what happens? An unprecedented trade that we've never seen, maybe in NBA history, happens. And Luka Doncic gets traded, and a 25-year-old superstar in his prime gets traded from the team that drafted him mid-season to the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka gets traded. And if you want to take a look at how the ratings were after that trade happened, go ahead and look at that. The ratings skyrocketed, and for somebody who watched it, the NBA became a lot more interesting after Nico Harrison, for some reason, decided to trade Luka Doncic. And I think that the players, after seeing that Luka Doncic can get traded, the NBA players actually started trying a little bit harder, and it was kind of a gut check for them, saying that, oh, if Luka Doncic can get traded, I can get traded. So I need to start playing well. So people started playing harder, making the NBA games more enjoyable to watch, and the ratings in turn went up, and the level of basketball that we saw continue just to go up and up and all. And I think that trade, honestly, may have saved the season, because at the beginning of the season, I bought League Pass for the first time. I didn't want to watch most of it because most of it was boring. But then after that Luka Doncic trade, I started getting way more into the NBA because it was more interesting. And we've never seen a trade like that. And I don't think anybody would have made that trade beside Nico Harrison. But I'm going to say it again. Is it crazy for me to speculate that because the NBA ratings were down, the NBA said, okay, we need a topic of discussion, we need a headline, we need something to get these ratings up because the ratings are bad? Is it crazy for me to think that the NBA went to the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers, who is the biggest market, maybe in sports, maybe beside the New York Yankees or something like that? I don't really know who the biggest one is, but it's one of the biggest, in the Los Angeles Lakers, who doesn't really have a future, is not going anywhere, and LeBron is old and he's about to retire. Maybe 2 years or 3 years after that, LeBron's going to be gone, and the Lakers really have no direction. So, is it crazy for me to think that Adam Silver went to the Mavericks and the Lakers, mainly just the Mavericks, and Nico Harrison, and said, listen, if you give up Luka Doncic and trade him to the Lakers, so Luka Doncic, who is a big name in the NBA and an international name, if you trade him to the Lakers, in turn, I will give you Cooper Flagg and the number 1 overall pick, no matter where you fall in the draft. Is it crazy for me to say that? I don't think that's crazy for 1 second, and I think this was all orchestrated by the NBA because the ratings were so bad and so down that they needed something to get everybody's attention, and that is exactly what the Luka Doncic trade was, and this absolutely confirmed it. And shout out to Nico Harrison, because honestly, he saved the season with that one, because like I said, the games became more enjoyable and people started to play harder, and it got me watching more NBA basketball than I've watched in a while now. So shout out to him, and the reaction that they were giving in the draft room, I'm sorry, they knew they were getting the number 1 overall pick for months now because Adam Silver assured it. And for the people who do say that the NBA is not rigged and this just happened by luck, just so you know, the Mavericks had 1.8 chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, and I think an 8% chance of getting a top 4 pick. They were literally in the play-in. They could have made the playoffs. That's how low their chances were. And the fact that they got the number 1 overall pick is very head-scratching and very suspicious. And the big reason why the NBA draft lottery is rigged, and we obviously know that the NBA is pulling strings. Why don't they show those dang ping pong balls? Why don't they show it actually happening, and why is it behind closed doors where no one can see what is going on? And I get they did that because people were questioning the frozen envelope and Patrick Ewing, but the fact that they still do not show the NBA draft lottery to live fans, we have no footage that those ping pong balls even exist, is very suspicious, and in my opinion, it's just more the reason why the NBA is just behind the scenes pulling all the strings. And the NBA scriptwriters, shout out to y'all. Y'all were absolutely cooking this season, and the storylines have been very good during the second half of the season, and y'all rebounded from ratings being very, very low. And honestly, you get a round of applause from me. And that's all I really have for this episode. If you enjoyed this, please give this a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment section below. Do you think the NBA is actually rigged, or do you think it's fair? And the team that lost their superstar and people were rioting and telling them to fire their GM, get the number 1 pick in the exact same season. Do you think that's coincidence? Leave a comment in the comment section below. But anyway, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you, and I'll see y'all next week, and bye.